This episode of Another Happy Pod is going to contain spoilers. If you've not experienced the content yourself, please go ahead and do so before coming back and listening to the boys ramble on about it. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome back to Another Happy Pod, the show where we talk about pop culture, movies, TV shows, video games, whatever, and we try to keep it a little bit fresh, positive, and optimistic. We don't always succeed on that, but we do have a good time doing it. My name is Nathan James Bauer. That's not my real middle name. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host. He's an absolute he's a his name is Lawrence Thomas Heisey. Hello, sir.
Hello, I'm none of those things, but thank you for the thanks for bringing it back. I thought we'd evolve past this. But
if you're none of those things, why did you bleep them out, Lawrence?
Oh no.
A catch-22.
He's got me there. Am I truly guilty of these crimes?
If you're not guilty, then what's the harm in letting it be there on the record?
I've nothing to hide.
Well, we'll see when it comes out then, won't we?
Oh, we will. So Nathan, today we are two. What's the term? Is it weebs? Is the term you said?
Weebs, yes. Weeaboo is the term for like a white person who's just a little bit too much into anime, and that gets shortened to weeb. So
right,
we are weebs today because we are discussing anime.
Which is a couple of weebs in the podcast.
Just a couple of weebs watching. I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, so we watched a movie called Your Name, a movie that came out in 2016 that I'd already seen. I saw it a few years ago and just really liked it. So I thought it would be good to discuss on the podcast. You were very apprehensive about the idea, weren't you?
I'm not in a...
You just hate anime, and you hate anyone who likes anime, don't you?
No. Right. I've never been on board with like the animation style of anime. I've just never found it that like... it doesn't like engross me, like it doesn't immerse me. I don't know. There's just something about the animation style. You know, like Into the Spider-Verse's animation style is not for everyone. And I think it's great, but a lot of people think it's fucking damn right unwatchable.
Yeah.
It has that effect on me. Like it just genuinely is a little bit like, I'm not a fan of it, and therefore I never
maybe because you would have only seen like cheaply made anime in the past, perhaps.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know why. I just never was into it as a kid. I never had any kind of like Dragon Ball Z is like anime type, isn't it?
Dragon Ball Z is anime, yeah. Pokemon, Digimon, Beyblade, all that sort of shit. That's all.
I just never really had any nostalgia for that when I was a kid, so I already kind of the animation style wasn't accessible to me through that like nostalgia window, so I just never really got into it.
That's fair enough. I'm not much of an anime person. I'm very like I have hardly watched any anime. Like literally what I've seen is Pokemon when I was younger, and literally just like Gen 1, and then that was it. I don't watch anything beyond that. And then some early episodes of Digimon, some Beyblade, and recently I've watched Attack on Titan, which I've really liked. But other than that, I'm very, very limited when it comes to anime. Like I don't have any real sort of nostalgia or love for it. And for a long time I was the same. I kind of just like dismissed it really, just because there is a lot of memes around anime. There's the over the top voice acting, the Nani and all that sort of stuff, and whatever. And that is all just part of it, I guess. But yeah, when I started to watch like Attack on Titan, that's when I started to take this as an art form seriously, because it is just an art form. It's just a different way of storytelling. It's one that can be used quite well in certain circumstances.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and maybe I was wrong to dismiss it, maybe whatever, but it's a case of this is just another way of presenting something. Like it's just another form of animation, and I've always thought that animation, like let's say like Pixar movies or like for example Spider-Verse, too many people have like turned their nose up at it and gone, animation is for kids.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes sense to kind of now that I've kind of not embraced it, so to speak, but had my first
Anime
foray into anime, is
Anime
time
is
to defend it.
definitely not for kids because
No, no,
like
yeah,
some of the like I think it is just the dominant form of storytelling in Japan. Like in Japan, it's it's not so much filmed stuff; it's more stories are told through anime, just because they can do so much more with it. And like I said, I've watched Attack on Titan. That show gets fucking dark, like really fucking dark. It's absolutely not a kids show, and this isn't a kids movie. I wouldn't say.
no.
So yeah, but I'm interested to know. You watched this last night, so I'm eagerly anticipating what you thought of Your Name.
Um, so my parents called me Lawrence, and I've always kind of thought it was a bit of an odd name. I've never met too many people, and it's with a U as well. So I've never met too many people that have the same name as me. Um, but yeah, what do you think about your name?
Oh fuck off! I was like, where the fuck is he going with this? What is this he's doing? What a great joke! Well done. What a
I
great
got you.
riff.
I tricked you with it. I'm happy about it.
You did well done. You tricked a trickster. Well done.
Aha. Yeah, no, I like this. This was cool. I again, I loaded it up. I remembered at God, like 11 o'clock last night, and I went, oh fuck, I gotta watch that movie. Shit. So I was like already, I went into it like I'm probably not gonna like this. I went into it so pessimistic.
I absolutely knew you would.
And I like this. This is cool. Firstly, it's clear that this couldn't be in any other art form, which is something I like because it justified the reasoning for the style choice. A couple of things grated me at first. I don't know if this is an animation all round, so I'm going to ask: is it custom that no one fucking blinks ever?
Yeah, I guess pretty much.
Because it's well, I noticed it pretty early on, and I was furious with myself for noticing it. Because there was like scenes in the background where people, if they're not talking, they're just stood there. They're just a picture.
Yeah, that's very much anime. Yeah, anime just focuses on what you need to focus on. It doesn't necessarily like the background characters. They will be still just a lot of the times.
It's so scary. But yeah, no, ultimately, so I went in completely blind. You told me to. I didn't watch a trailer for this. I didn't read anything online. I'd heard of the title before, and I knew it had a vaguely pretty positive reception. But I went into this completely blind, experienced the twist kind of fresh. Yeah, ultimately, I liked it. I found it a bit difficult to follow at certain times, but I think this is a movie that will lend itself to two viewings. But yeah, ultimately, I had fun with it. What about you?
I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Like I said, I watched it for the first time a couple of years ago, and yeah, really liked it. And then I watched it the second time just the other night, and again, loved it. It's a really good, interesting story. Definitely not conventional in any way. I mean, it's a body swap story. It's a story that's been done before. Body swap stories have been done, Freaky Friday and all that sort of thing. But it's a little bit different. It's got a little bit of a twist in terms of traditionally body swap stories, the two people will be together so they can experience oh, I'm looking at myself, but it's not me, and all that sort of things. But in this occasion, these people are separated by quite a big distance. They're not together at all, and also time. We find out later. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's just a bit of a fresh spin on it, and I really liked all that sort of stuff. Did you watch the English version?
Yeah, I watched the dub of it.
Yeah, I also watched the dub. I'm not. I've got nothing against subtitled anime. It's probably the better way, the most pure way to enjoy it because that's the original intention of it. But I just can't be able to read it, man.
I'm with that. To be fair, if the only way I can watch the film is through subtitles, then I'll watch it. I've watched Battle Royale, Parasite, those kind of films that don't, to my knowledge, don't have an English dub.
Yeah. I wouldn't watch a live action dub because then that's just.
Oh, it's so distracting.
Yeah, it'd be so distracting. You are not saying that at all. What is going on?
Yeah.
With animation, it's easier to get away with, but yeah, live. Oh, fuck no, fuck that. So you initially said that you wasn't necessarily a fan of the animation style. And again, I said, you may have seen some cheaply made stuff. I want to know what you thought of this because I thought the animation in this was fucking beautiful. Yeah, sure, there is the traditional anime stuff where there is characters that don't move in the background and all that sort of thing. But just like the landscape shots, you see Tokyo, the sea, you see the countryside, the mountains, even just down to like cooking a fucking egg. It all, to me anyway, it looks beautiful. So I'm interested to know what you thought about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so it comes with like it has a really nice kind of like palette of color.
Yeah.
It really kind of throws itself into the things like there's an overarching thing where this kind of like lovely blush pink comet is going over Tokyo at one point. And they use that throughout the whole color throughout, like in just like little lens flares, stuff like that. I'd imagine this is like some of the best of, right? This is probably like top tier animation, right?
A lot of people would say like Studio Ghibli stuff is the best of the best. Which I haven't seen myself. But I think that's quite older, so it might be a little bit outdated now. But I to be honest, I don't know. I mean, this is good. That's what I know. It's good. That's what I know.
Yeah,
So
and there's a couple of little things, like I mentioned the blinking thing, that kind of stuff. But if you just once you look past it, like it's not. It's clearly intentional because the animation is good everywhere else. That if they wanted those people to be moving, they would be. But
yeah,
it's a choice, and like I'm not going to be like, oh my god, not a single person blinked, therefore the movie sucks. Like
I think the
it's a good,
intention behind it is because it's not a lot of animation and particularly Pixar, they tend to go for absolute photorealism, which is great, and it looks amazing. Like you cannot deny that cat in Toy Story 4 looks fucking incredible, the amount of detail on it. But also, this is animation, so why not be a little bit more dreamlike and be a little bit more, play with it a little bit more. And I think
yeah.
that's what anime tends to do. You don't need that hyper realism on stuff. We're just focusing on these people here, so the background and that sort of stuff. It doesn't need the same level of attention and detail. And I think anyway, I don't know. I just think that that's kind of the intention behind it.
I don't know. 9 times out of 10, I was on board with it. Sometimes I found it a bit distracting, because they would do it to characters like that aren't anyone that wasn't in the foreground, but even if they were like a meter behind, they'd still be dead still, and it would sometimes I'd be like, what is that? That person's just fucking doing nothing. But yeah, but like I say, it's if it's intentional, then fair enough. I respect it, and it worked way more than it didn't for me.
Okay, all right. So you're not totally racist. That's good to know.
Shut up.
All right. All right. So what did you think of the story overall? So it's a body swap story. It's also a love story, and then you have this odd little sci-fi twist in there as well. Which,
Yeah.
well, I'd like to know what you thought about all that sort of stuff.
So I thought the pacing was great, and given that I had no idea where this was going, I was a little bit worried that it'd shown its hand a bit too early. Like I was a little bit worried that because within the first 5 minutes, it's like we swap bodies,
Yeah.
and I was a little bit like, oh fuck, and there's like an hour and 30 to go. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck are they gonna do? So yeah, no, but I liked it.
The body swapping story stuff is over quite early. Actually, it's like it's
yeah.
really not the main focus. Like I think more like a little over halfway, and then you're like, and we never swapped bodies again. I'm like, oh, all right, that's interesting. Well, let's see where this goes then.
Well, yeah, when they said that, like, because obviously I went in completely blind, with no spoilers. I hadn't heard a thing about it. They went, and we never did it again. I went, and I looked, I hovered over the runtime on my Mac, and I was just like, and I went, never, no, never again, really?
Which isn't technically true. That's also not technically true.
Yeah, it's not.
But yeah, for the bulk of it is done like in the first half of the movie, which is interesting.
And it's fun. It's explored in a fun way.
It is. I like how they like leave little notes for each other, and they start to get to know each other through these like little memos that they're leaving themselves, and that's how this relationship starts to form. Really.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, like you say, because it is a tried trope. There is a lot of movies out there of like body swap kind of things, and this takes on like a bit of a unique style. And later you find out why they can't just pick up the phone and call each other, etc. But it's still really interesting. But the twist that like threw me massively.
Did
Like
it?
the twist that she'd been dead for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I went, because I was getting more and more confused, and at the time, like a little bit more and more pissed off. Like this movie makes no fucking sense. like I like it, but what the fuck? Like I can't follow.
What was confusing and pissing you off?
Just most of it. Like there was little things that I didn't get. I was like, why the fuck is this red ribbon? Like, why am I being shown this every 5 seconds?
So just quickly, so the red ribbon, it's based on the Red String of Fate, which is basically like a very old East Asian folklore. Basically, it's the idea. I think it has Chinese origins, but it's basically the idea that you are attached to your soulmate through an invisible red string that's tied around each of your fingers. So it's just like an old fairy tale sort of thing, which they've taken inspiration from and they've kind of included in this. So that's what that is.
Fair play. Yeah, it was yeah, there were just little bits that like threads that I couldn't, obviously with the information I had at the time, couldn't piece together. And
Yeah.
obviously like I knew that things were coming up and things were going to be revealed, but I was like, and the film was in no rush to reveal them, so I was like, "Fuck!" Like it was like semi frustrating, but also that's like a recipe for like great film because you don't want to be handed everything. You know, the audience members aren't morons.
Yeah.
You like to be kind of given information by like kind of drip fed it, so you can make up your own kind of analysis by the end. I did find the ending got a little bit hard to follow in certain places, but again, like I said earlier, this is going to benefit from a second watch. But yeah, there was just certain elements, certain moments that I went, wait, hang on, so who the fuck's in whose body now? Like,
Yeah.
and I found the lines got a bit blurred in certain elements, but it was the first time I watched it, so I'm not going to hold it against the movie because it's clear this movie thought itself out. Because
Yeah.
if you're body swapping, if you're time traveling, like your script is going to be, it has to be airtight.
Yes. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, basically what happens is these two switch bodies. So Taki is a kid from Tokyo, a young kid from Tokyo, and Mitsuha, a girl from some remote mountainous village outside of Tokyo. And they basically swap bodies, and they have all the usual hijinks and get into situations and all that sort of stuff. And then it just stops. It just stops on the night where this comet is passing over Mitsuha's like village. And what happens is we find out that they're actually separated by 3 years. Mitsuha is 3 years in the past in 2013, Taki is in 2016, and they're body swapping through time. The reason it stopped is because part of the comet broke off and essentially just fucking wiped out Mitsuha's village. It just fucking obliterated them, which is pretty fucking brutal. Like when that first happened, I was like, holy shit. Like you just see like little the destruction of the village, which is still there 3 years later. Like no one's cleaned this place up. It's still just an absolute wreck. And when it dawns on you what's happened, and because you do see like part of the comet splitting off before all this, and you start to put one and one together, and you're like, oh shit, she's dead. Fuck. It's brutal and it's tragic and yeah. And then Taki has to go on like he can't let this go. He can't forget about this girl and this kind of relationship that he's formed with her. So he tries to think of a way to save her, to use this weird connection that they have and see if he can do something about it. And yeah, towards the end, it does get a little bit tricky and confusing. I feel like I followed it mostly towards the end. It does jump around between bodies quite a bit, but yeah, for the most part, I followed it anyway. But yeah, I liked all that sort of stuff.
No, I do too, and I think, like I was saying a second ago, it's kind of this has to be airtight, and it clearly is.
Yeah.
And like the hard to follow stuff is me having not watched it thoroughly enough. Just because like if I was paying attention to every single word, I probably would have followed it through. Like, and I did. Like I did get where it was going. I got the gist, and I understood like enough to enjoy the plot and go, wow, that was cool. But I'd imagine there's like little plot holes that if I could probably think about, if I tried hard, I could probably find them and then go, I bet that was explained in like a little throwaway line earlier on in the movie or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are some moments of this which is fucking like brutal, but then there's also moments of like great levity. Like I think it made me laugh when you said they swap bodies and they have the usual hijinks. The usual hijinks consisting of Taki goes, "I have boobs now."
Yeah, every morning when he wakes up in Mitsuha's body, you just see Mitsuha feeling her own boobs as her sister walks in, which is pretty strange, but I guess that's something that would happen.
It's pretty weird.
It's pretty weird. But to be fair, she calls him out on it as well. She's like,
well,
you felt my tears. What are you doing?
Yeah, I like it because there's a moment where they're discussing something quite like important, and like I don't know. Let's say they're talking about the comet or something of equal importance to the plot and them.
Yeah.
And she like the line or something where she's like, yeah, so the comet's gonna land and we're all gonna die, and oh my god, you touched my boobs. And he's like, sorry about that.
Also, the idea that once they've swapped bodies, they can't really remember anything that they did either. I really like that idea as well. They have no memory of either what they did in the other person's body or what their physical body actually did. It's just a complete blackout. It's just like a complete 24-hour blackout or whatever. And that adds some like tension because, you know, the ongoing theme is they don't know their names. Like they have to, you know, keep telling each other by memos and that sort of thing, and that's how you get to the ending. And there's a really kind of like, I don't know, it's just a tragic but also a little bit funny moment towards the end where they do meet, not physically, but like through this weird time link that they have. And they're writing each other's name down on their arms, and I think Mitsuha, she manages to get Taki's name written on her hand, and then she's just going to write her name on Taki's hand, but then she just disappears. The connection is just instantly severed, and and as it's happening, like the music is swelling and everything, but then it's just gone. It's just eerily silent, and the pen drops to the floor, and it's in the blink of an eye, and it's fucking tragic, but it was also a little bit funny as well.
Yeah, it is funny because it's one of them like you say, you're being engrossed by the film going full like as hard as it can. You know, it's got the music, it's got the beautiful visuals, it's got all of that, and then it suddenly drops. And what I loved about that was the sound design is literally just the pen drops to the floor, like you just hear this kind of tap on the floor, and that's it. And then you're sat there for like 5 seconds going, oh, fuck. Like, we know as the audience, like, that was the kind of last-ditch attempt.
Yeah,
like,
because you do laugh. You laugh, and then you're like, oh. And then you start to feel bad because you realized exactly like, oh, shit. Like you say, it's the last-ditch attempt. Like, what's going to happen now?
And what I liked about it was you almost feel a sense of responsibility. And I know this is proper, like, if you're immersed kind of stuff. Like, I was really engrossed watching this, especially this scene. But you know that in, you know, maybe 5 minutes, these two aren't even going to remember that happening. So you're the audience member. Obviously, you know what's happening. You've seen everything. You almost kind of like want to reach into the screen and shake them and be like, so just go here. This person will see you. Ask them where that person. Like, because it does. It puts you're the only person that has the information. So it could either have been frustrating or really kind of like emotionally gratifying because you're there like, oh, I just wish I could interact. I wish I could tell these guys what's going on.
And I think that's the mark of good storytelling. When you do feel that frustration, when you do want to help out, but you just physically can't. I think that's the mark of good storytelling, really. You've obviously formed a connection with these characters and you want to help them, but tragically, you're not an anime person, so you can't.
Yeah. I'm not in Your Name 2016 English dub. Unfortunately, I couldn't. Yeah.
You
Well,
mentioned the music. What did
yeah.
you think of the music?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, they're they're like Japanese bangers. So like there wasn't a
They're all
single thing.
performed by the same band called Radwimps, and I have been
Yeah,
listening to the soundtrack pretty much non-stop since the other day, and it fucking slaps, man. It's so good.
it does. Yeah, it goes off.
Yeah,
But so that no, it's really good. I think it's used to great effect. Another staple of anime, I'd assume, just from seeing this, is like long, kind of drawn out montage sequences with like time lapse shots and
yeah.
yeah, like because that happened a few times in this, and I was like, this. I look, not that I didn't like it, but I was like, this is not something that would happen in like films that I've seen. Like,
Yeah, no, anime is very much like montages to music, and then there's the, the very traditional anime intro title sequence, which is also, set to some big, like, usually rock song kind of thing. That which works, it always works for this. Again, I mentioned Attack on Titan because some of the best fucking theme songs ever. It's just sick. But yeah, I love the music in this movie. I was just listening to some of it earlier this morning. It is really good. Don't understand a fucking word of it. Don't have a clue what those lads are saying. But boy, it sure does sound good.
they're just screaming hate speech, and Nathan's like, "What a banger! What an absolute banger!"
What a bop this goes off.
There's a couple of things I wanted to mention. So you've seen this twice, right?
I have seen this twice, separated by about 4 years, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I noticed, and I wonder. I presume you've picked up on a lot of them. So the firstly, the first time experience of a new waiter, that's a perfect sum up. Like that's that little clip there where Mitsuha's in Taki's body, and Taki obviously is a waiter at a restaurant, so she has to go to do his shift, and she has no fucking idea what she's doing.
Yeah.
That's and then you've got that asshole that's like, oh, there's a toothpick in my food. Ugh.
And I've
That
also
is
eaten 90% of it.
Yeah, that is bang on. That is
Yeah.
literally bang on. Like to the point where when I was a waiter, I used to have people like do little shit like that. Like they would honestly, it was so pathetic. Sometimes we saw in cameras they would plant stuff in their food so they could go out and eat for free all the time.
What
And
an
it was
idiot.
like it's just it's so but yeah, so I quite like that. That was quite funny. Also, I get the impression that Mitsuha's not 100% straight in this.
Why? Because of the kind of the
She-
miso day thing?
Yeah, she seems to be like, I want to go on that date kind of situation.
I feel like I you know me, I always love a gay storyline. But I 100% took that as when she said she wanted to go on that date. I took that as she wanted to go on the date with Taki, because the
Okay.
relationship is starting to form. I just think that it was just typical girls being friends. That's what I kind of thought, because like even when like she notices the rip in the skirt, she just immediately like grabs her hand and takes her somewhere private, as girls would. Yeah, that's how I thought it was, but maybe, but I don't know.
It was the moment. I was like, because she wrote the note to Taki the next day saying like, I wanted to go on that date, but if you go on it, then here's some stuff. And it almost seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like the highlight was that she wanted to go on the date with her, because there's no feasible way she would be able to go on that date with him.
No, she wouldn't. But I do think that was more the intention. I might be wrong. Who knows? Could be.
We stand a gay queen.
we stand a gay queen. Sure.
I like the conspiracy theory guy. He kind
What's
of
the
like
conspiracy theory guy?
so it's Mitsuha's friend.
Oh, the guy on the bike.
Yeah. He is always on a bike, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was quite funny because the whole time he was like he's one of them, like, it's in the air, man. Like he's one of them kind of guys.
Did you get the sense that he kind of had a crush on Mitsuha? but like
Yes.
he had a crush on Mitsuha. Mitsuha obviously had no feelings for him whatsoever. But then the other girl, she obviously had a crush on him.
Yeah, and then it looked like they were getting married at the end.
Yeah, they were, and then like 5 years later or whatever, they were then married. It seemed like, or well, I guess 8 years later for them.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, that made me laugh because it was like it was so painfully obvious, and he would like it was almost so blatant that he would turn around to her and be like, "Oh man, Misa's over there and she looks great." Like, and this other girl's like, "Yep, haha, cool." Like, which I thought was quite funny. But I like the moment that like because his entire deal for a while was like conspiracy theories and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I did like the moment where like at the end when Misuha was like, no one will fucking believe me, and it just cut to him, and like hearing it, and it's like he's learning that him and his entire family and everyone he knows is about to die, and he's like, oh, this is awesome, this is cool. And he's so clearly ready to like live out his conspiracy fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
he gets to like blow up a power station, so that's pretty
yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah, no, this is fun, and the ending. What do you make of the ending?
So the actual ending, like when 5 years later and that sort of thing.
Yeah, like after I've got something missing from my life kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's 5 years later. Taki is unsure of whether or not he was successful. You know, he's pretty much forgotten most of it. He remembers something happened, but most of it he's pretty much forgotten and just kind of, you know, moved on with his life. He's trying to get a job in Tokyo and all that sort of thing. And
for some reason his suit is worse than everyone else's suit.
Despite the fact big that they're the
same suit. They're the same suit. Everyone else is wearing the same suit, just with a different tie. Like, yeah. and every room he walks in, they're like, "Dude, your suit sucks." It's just it's the same suit you're wearing.
I think it's because it's ill-fitting. It doesn't quite fit in properly. I think that's what it is. But yeah, so and then they happen to come across each other through the window of opposite trains first of all, and then kind of like run out and meet each other. I fucking love the ending. And what I like about it is we don't see much of it. We get the tiniest glimpse. We get enough. We get them seeing each other for the first time again. We get the moment of realization. Then we get them rushing off to find each other. And then, you know, the movie ends with them asking each other their name, like the running theme of the movie, and then it ends. And I like that it ends there. We don't need to see any more than that. We don't need to see them being together because we already know that they're fucking soulmates essentially. They're gonna have a great life together. You know, we don't necessarily need to see it. And I like that the movie took the choice to cut it off there at pretty much the perfect moment, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah, like I always find it's a little bit cheesy when the title of the film is read back, but in this instance, it actually 100% works.
Oh, I don't. I love it. That's one of my favorite things. When a movie ends with the title card, that's one of my absolute favorite things. Logan does it. Children of Men. Anytime.
No. I mean,
just cut. What do you mean?
I mean, like when it's said out loud in a film. Like when someone's like,
oh,
I guess, like, hey, can I ask you your name? Like that stuff, that kind of thing.
No, I like it. I like that too because that's like it's moments like that are made to grab your attention because you think, oh, that's the name of the movie. This is something important. And I like those moments too. Sure, it might be a little bit cheesy, but I don't know. I like it.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. So normally I'm not a fan of it. Like because the typical time it'd be used is like a fucking crash zoom to Channing Tatum's face, and he's like, "Boy, this White House sure is down." But like do you know
even in those movies?
Yeah, Channing Tatum's in White House Down. Yeah, he's the main. I'm pretty sure he's the main guy.
I thought he was Jerry Butler.
No, you're thinking of Olympus Has Fallen or
oh.
Fucking
Oh yeah, because they're the same movie, aren't they? But
yeah, same movie, same year.
same movie, same year, just different name, different
Yeah.
actor.
But apart from in one of them, Jamie Foxx is the president, and he wears some big red sneakers through the
I
entire
think that's
movie.
the Jerry Butler one. I think.
No, that's the. Well, see, no, I'm pretty sure that's the Channing Tatum one.
Oh, I don't know. Well,
They do donuts on the lawn, on the White House lawn. I'm pretty sure anyway. Great movie.
sure. I'm sure it is.
But yeah, no, this is one of them where I fully liked it. Like it made sense because it was a recurring motif. It wasn't done for like a, haha, look, we know what we're called.
Yeah.
It was like you say, it drew your attention to something that was important. It finalized the theme of the movie, and then it didn't outstay its welcome. It left making its point and was like, that's the film. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Which I liked. Yeah, it was really cool.
Made me cry.
Oh, you softy! What a weed.
I am a little soft weeb. I am. I had a little cry at the end. I was like, oh, they found each other, and yeah.
I see. I was quite tired. I went, oh, nice. Anyway, bed.
Well, that's your fault. But yeah, I liked it. See anything else here? Yeah. Again, music incredible. Well, one thing I do like how the emphasis on like the different cultures in Japan. So Mitsuha is she lives quite outside of the city in like a rural, very small village. So a lot of stuff is very traditional Japanese, traditional dress and ceremonies and all that sort of thing. And then Taki, very, very different. He lives in Tokyo, so it's all very westernized. The big city life and all that sort of thing. Mitsuha sleeps just on the floor, eats on the floor. Tahaki sleeps in a bed, sits on a table, that sort of thing. Just subtle little visual things like that, which just telling the differences between like the different cultures in Japan, which I kind of like. That's interesting.
And they clearly did research. They clearly knew what they were talking about, or not writing from own experiences, but I presume the writers of this kind of have experienced the Japanese culture. And like I'd imagine this wasn't written by like two white guys in Hollywood.
No, it is very much a Japanese production through and through. So there's been a follow up to this, not a follow up movie, just a movie produced by like the same studio and writers and all that sort of thing. And I think Riz Ahmed is in the dub version of it. I think he plays one of the characters
really?
in the dub version. Yeah, and I've heard quite good things about that. So I think we might watch that at some point down the line. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this. The love story is great. Fell in love with the characters, and you wanted them to solve this weird time bound mystery, and get together, and thankfully they did. So yeah, good time all around, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely a big fat juicy watch from me. Yeah, had fun. Definitely new. Like I say, I went into this a bit pessimistic, and I was wrong to. This is a good thing. Like if you're like me and you've got that anime stigma and you just never had the nostalgia for Pokemon, just get over yourself. Watch it. It's good.
Okay, so yeah, that's your name. Give it a watch if you haven't already. Lawrence, next week is a special week. Because we're going to see this movie here.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
The Suicide Squid, which is a calamari, dead.
What a good joke.
Thank you.
But also it's also a special week because for the first time in podcasting history, we're the very first podcast to do this. We are going to record an episode together. It's never been done before. Every single podcast in history has been done remotely. But for the first time ever, we are going to be in the same room as we record.
Not only the same room, Nathan, we'll be seeing the film at the same time together.
We will.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Nathan's coming down to visit. He's coming down to mine. He's staying a few days, and we're gonna watch movies. We're gonna talk about movies, and we may even be working on a secret little project.
Little sizzle.
So this has been another Happy Pod. We have new episodes every Friday at 10 a.m. They go out. We send a little notification out on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow us there at Another Happy Pod. You can also give us a 5-star review, Electric Boogaloo, if you want, and we will read them. Maybe all the new reviews we'll read out on the show, because since we've started saying this on a regular basis, I think we've gained one, which is one more than we had. So clearly this format works, and we're looking forward to reading out more opinions. We promise to read every review, whether it's awful or great, because I think that'll be fun either way. But yeah, join us next week for the Suicide Squad.
We promise to read out every review, awful or great, as long as it's 5 stars. Like, you can say whatever the fuck you want about us. You can call us the worst people ever. But as long as it's 5 stars, then we'll read down.
Yeah, you can literally get really personal as long as it's 5 stars.
And mean.
Yeah. Get nasty with it. Why not?
Yeah. What's stopping you?
My tears. Right. Join us next week for the Suicide Squad. We will have lots of fun. Until then. And Nathan, do your thing.
What's my thing?
You say the thing about their mums.
Oh, yeah. Say hi to your mum for me. Another Happy Pod.
Great.